Lisa McCaffrey here. I am the Active Clubs Coordinator for RYA Northern Ireland.
And I'm Rob Howlett, the Regional Development Officer for the Southwest.
Hello, hopefully you will recognise us from our series of webinars before Christmas where we spoke about membership renewal and retention. So we're going to chat a bit about that, but first I'm going to pass you over to Rob, who's going to discuss our Sale from Home.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Lisa. Just before we get into the core topic of this week, I wanted to make everybody aware of the Sale from Home 2 program that's coming out. So a lot of you will remember Sale from Home from the first lockdown last year, where we released a whole series of content to keep members, clubs, committees, all engaged and interested throughout lockdown. It's all on the RWA YouTube channel. So do check those out and keep up to date with them, and hopefully you'll find those useful content for you and the members of your clubs. So do feel free to point them to all your club members. They're free to subscribe to. So Lisa, back into our renewals and talking about kind of satisfaction, engagement and communication, isn't it? In relation to renewals, we know that we've got 50% of the nation's memberships renew in January or February. So we are looking at a huge percentage of clubs having to renew right now, having had such a tough year. Tell us about how the forums kind of supported that.
Yeah, and I definitely think this is good timing for us to be promoting kind of our series of forums again. If you do want to watch them back, you can watch them back on the Club Zone playlist on the RYA YouTube channel. So just go back, and they're not too long forums. But we had obviously the series of 3. First one we looked at satisfaction. Hopefully you will all recognise the RYA satisfaction survey. And then we had Rachel, who is from the Leadership Factor, just to give a bit of insight in terms of the data that we got from the satisfaction survey. So it was really, really interesting to kind of get information from Rachel. And we know that understanding your members is key. And one of the big things that we learned from it was approachability and the atmosphere of your club. Members really want to feel valued, as well as getting that advice and that communication. Rob, we know we had some really good kind of case studies as such from some of our clubs. Talk us a bit through them.
Yeah, I think that's probably the biggest reason to watch those forums back, Lisa, is the case studies are brilliant. To hear what clubs are doing really gives you some good ideas. And I think out of that first one, I'd probably pick Tony's idea, and Tony from Lymington Town. And those guys were surveying their members fairly frequently, but only with very short surveys. So kind of 4-question surveys that would take you no more than 90 seconds to fill your answers in. And each time they'd be on something different. So whether that was changing rooms and how people felt about the changing rooms and showers, or how they felt about the boatyard and slipway, or how they felt about the restaurant. But each time it was so short that it enabled the club to get a really high response rate, but also do something about it, because there were only 4 answers to deal with. So they were able to really implement that "you said, we did" approach. So, you know, you told us the menu at the yacht club hadn't changed very frequently, and therefore we've updated the menu and we'll be changing it on a 2-monthly basis. So kind of making those immediate impacts and playing back to their members what impact the members had, which really makes them feel valued and satisfied. So I think that was perfect in that one.
Yeah, and I think one of the things we did learn was adapting is key, and it's something that we're all pretty used to by now over the past year, that we can adapt to things. But that either little effort or big effort, it is recognised by your members, and it is rewarded. Members will see you kind of putting the effort in, and they will be satisfied, and they will kind of look obviously at the renewal process and kind of continue on becoming a member. Moving on from the first forum, we went then into engagement. Rob, chat us through that.
Yeah, the engagement forum was really good fun. We had 5 different case studies in that one forum within 40 minutes. So it was packed full of ideas, really worth a watch. I think kind of one of the things that stood out to me was ex-sailing club and their their idea of community and the way that they gave a huge amount of variety, and that variety created lots of community within the club. So, you know, there was a kayak group that, as long as you were a member of the sailing club, you went out with the kayak group, or a ukulele club that was part of it, an art class, a photography class. And what that did was really built community, so that the members were engaged. They were coming down 3-4 times a week. And because of that, and because of all that engagement, the chance of any of those members not renewing becomes far lower. So I think that was a really key message to me in the engagement. But I think, you know, we had lots of good case studies in that one, Lisa, didn't we? Was there anything that stood out to you?
Yeah, I think kind of listening to one of the case studies on a new member, it was really, really interesting in terms of Lara. She just always wanted to know more and learn more, and new members, especially at the minute, because they're still learning, they're definitely going to look at, should I renew? What's coming next for me? Because they're still in that learning process. We know that Lara explained communication is key for her. Let her know what's happening within the clubs. And again, that kind of community of start looking at what you can do online for your members at the minute. And the engagement happens across the whole club. Are there experienced sailors that can deliver talks to your new members, or the other way around in terms of why new members are joining your club? But yeah, so again, the communication side was key. Another case study was looking at kind of investing in your volunteers, making sure that they have projects to work on. Is there something that you can plan for this year coming, for next year, a big project, and get your volunteers communicating together, whether that's online at the minute. It's still giving them a focus, it's still giving them kind of a sense of belonging within their club, and then you will kind of see the satisfaction and the engagement across your club. I think then from that we went straight into communication, which we had Social B.
Yeah, Social B were great, weren't they? It's good to have someone from outside the sailing world come in and take a look at the way that clubs are communicating. And one of their key messages was making sure that you're playing back your members' comments to other members. So using those testimonials. So when you get a bit of, well, actually, we think the club's fantastic because of X or Y, feed that back in your news stories and your Facebook posts to your members, rather than just saying, we are a welcoming club, we are doing this, we are doing that. Actually getting the members to play those stories back and tell the other members about how brilliant the club is. It's much more real, and it really will work. If you think about TripAdvisor as an example, people will go on TripAdvisor and believe the story of a complete unknown person because it's a review, rather than the company that's selling the product. And I think, you know, clubs can use that to their advantage. They also had some interesting things to say about using slightly more old-fashioned methods of communication, didn't they, Lisa?
Yeah, it was really interesting. We kind of asked the question what type of communication they used, and there was a few that still used the good old post, and which obviously, if it works for your members, it works, and it's figuring out what does work for your members. So I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, and the other thing, I mean, we're mid-January now, towards the end of January even, and some clubs will have renewed and maybe have seen a drop in renewal because people will have experienced a very different year and different amount of usage of their sailing club that they're normally used to. So if a club's experienced high renewals, what was the message that came from Social B during our forum, Lisa? What were they talking about if we'd had a high number of renewals? What was the kind of message?
Yeah, I think they were saying about kind of planning your renewals process. So obviously people know, well, committees will know when your renewals process is up, but are you planning for it and making sure that you are communicating effectively to set up a communication campaign, it kind of in the run up to your renewals and throughout renewal process. So it's a bit like highlighting the achievements of the club, of the sailors. Are there focus stories that you can gather from your members? It's great to kind of promote your club and be proud of your club. And then also the kind of, if members aren't renewing, are you asking them why they're not renewing? It is definitely key on gathering that information. But yeah, so I think that was really interesting from Social Bee.
Yeah, and those members who don't renew, there's no reason, as long as it's GDPR compliant, there's no reason why the club can't continue to contact them throughout the year, tell them what's happening at the club, play back some of those testimonials, because it's far easier to get that sailor who was slightly dissatisfied with the amount of sailing they got last year to rejoin than it is to get a new member of your club. So, you know, they may well have left your club through no fault of your own last year, and just make sure you're staying in touch with those members who have recently lapsed and giving them all the reasons why they should rejoin. And as we all hit the water again, hopefully later in the year, those stories will be really great to pass out to those recently lapsed members, and we might be able to gain some of them back mid-season. So I think that was another really important message from Social Bee. I think, you know,
Yeah.
those lapsed members are far easier to get back than to create a whole new bunch of interested members.
Yeah, definitely. And I think if obviously you're listening to this video and you are wanting to know more about the webinars, go on to the YouTube channel, our YouTube channel on the Club Zone playlist, and watch them back. And again, if you have further questions or further kind of ask for support, there are your regional development officers that can help and support and guide you through your renewal process. Obviously we kind of, or if you do have a positive story or an impact story that we can share with others, feel free to let us know, because obviously we're keen on learning more as well about our clubs.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, thanks, Lisa. It's been really good to recap those forums that we ran, and hopefully the clubs will be able to access them now on Club Zone, on the YouTube channel, and that will help everybody. But as you say, we're all here to be contacted and help. The development officers really want to help you through this super tricky period that everyone's experiencing. So thanks for joining us this week, and we look forward to seeing you all next week, when there'll be a different development officer or team looking at the development tool that the RWA have created to help you plan for the future of your club. Until then, thanks very much.
Bye.